Kimbo Tatanzami Yamazu Kimfumu Kyakuisa. Wow, now I'm thoroughly convinced I got a backdoor from something that they're trying to do because it's so weird. Before I'm gonna have to get my laptop checked out, but it's so weird that I've been on this computer all morning, and now all of a sudden I do a video, and now it wants to shut down. Now I know this guy told me that when I run multiple things, sometimes this happens that it has an issue with. It keeps telling me low battery, and the battery's full. So some kind of virus or something is happening to where, as I start talking, um, this thing gets shut down. So I'm gonna have to do a part 2 again. So I apologize. All right, so it says here, neither shall they learn war no more anymore. O house of Yakuba, come ye and let us walk in the light of Tatanzambi. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people in the house of Yakuba, because they be replenished from the east, and they are safer like the Philistines. They please themselves and the children of strangers. The land is full of silver and gold. I mean, we're familiar with this scripture. It talks about it where it says that their land is also full of idols. They worship the work of their hands. We know that's a big thing here. Whatever they build, they always want to cut ribbons and, oh yeah, we built this and it's a beautiful building and all these statues. And now we know that that's all wicked to the Most High. Okay, it says, enter into the rock and hide thee in the dust. For the fear of the Most High, for the glory of his majesty, the lofty looks of man shall be humbled. They have already started doing this. There are those, this is why if you've seen those videos where they talk about people building bunkers, they started cutting these. They actually showed a video that was a secret society video that came out. It's on YouTube. I don't know if you can find it, where they had this machine that they had technology. It comes from the fallen angels. It could cut rock in seconds. It could heat it up, and they built tunnels and everything. It's top secret. It was top secret technology. This is how they really built NORAD, but they don't want to tell you that. This is how they really built all these underground tunnels with this technology that was cutting through the rock really fast, because they had to get their bunkers in order and whatnot. And so, hold on a sec. And so what happened was they needed to get this stuff started because they already knew based upon what Toko was saying. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. They already knew that this was coming. So let me get into it. I'm gonna tell you why. This was formulated around the same time these brothers were out. These were out in Africa doing their thing. Of course, one of the things that Toko mentions in the book is he gives you the real reason for the Holocaust that happened in Germany, and that was because they were trying to kill him. The Kabbalah was trying to destroy him, and they didn't. The fallen angels told Hitler to do it because they thought he was among them, and they found out that he wasn't when he started doing the Holy Spirit stuff and everything in 1949. Because they knew that the Most High, he hid things from people. He didn't let certain people know. This is why you had so many Black people join the secret societies in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Because they wanted to start the race wars that would eventually lead to a lot of lynchings and killings and all that. So what came out of it is this plan right here. I'm going to go over it with you. And this is now, you've had several shootings, and you now had riots with pertaining to white officers shooting Black people. I'm going to give you a secret because there's a book that actually came out. I tell you, I read The Rise of the Anakim, and it gives you the real reason for 2012 was the flip. Now, it doesn't tell you why the flip happened. He hides that. We as Banakongo, we now know that 2012 was the beginning of the age of Jacob, the rise, as they call it in the movie Mockery, the rise of the Planet of the Apes. It signified when Tatanzami was going to begin. And if you notice, that's about the time Massa would have started speaking. Pastor Mello was on the scene, but he was not quite known yet. okay, we know that things started to happen rapidly with other things like the war that was going on in the Middle East after what happened with 9/11, and also the various type of things that were going down. I'm going to give you an idea as to what we're about to face, and I'm going to show you an organization that they think they're going to be free and clear, but there's a reason why they created them is because the scripture about the wheat and the tares actually does apply to them as well. So technically, the person responsible for the Bantu awakening was Simon Toko, Simon Kimbangu, and Simon Padi. We know Kempovita also plays a role in it when she first started to resist the Catholicism system regime in 1706, and of course 70 years later was the United States was founded. So we're going to show you, I'm going to show you, this is called the King Alfred plan. Okay, this is a plan that it was, you can go on, it's on Google, you can look it up. This is a plan where it says, in the event of widespread, continuing, coordinated racial or civil disturbances in the United States of America, King Alfred, and of course, Kingi is the Kikongo, we know, at the behest of discretion of the president, is to be put into action immediately. And when Trump, they used it for this is a plan that they actually used with COVID. This is going to actually be your implementation for when they do the passports. They've now, what they're doing now is by creating the unrest with the guns, this is all falsification. They're, the drug, the gun laws or whatever. This is what they don't understand. The United States of America doesn't exist. Okay, it's now become whatever they're calling it. I don't know the name per se. It's the kingdom of where the Antichrist is going to be using to unite his legions or whatever. We know that they have now the Ben Dawidi. It was something that was told to my brother Nata about. I'll wait to see if it comes out about the other Antichrist that's coming. And so basically there's multiple different versions of it. They have to hide themselves in religion, which they've always done. The manipulation is that they knew all this time who they had as slaves in America and what they were trying to stop. And we now know who was behind it. So here it is. It said these are the participant federal agencies in it. It's the National Security Council, Department of Justice, Central Intelligence Agency. So now you can see all these riots that you saw, Reginald Denny, the situation that happened in, this is what they did. They actually do these riots to practice. This is the plan. So when they go, like they do live, they always do live exercises. This is what the military has been planning for their secret ops teams, all these other organizations to prepare for this day that we're coming to now, where they want to make sure that they're trying to do their best to make sure that we don't make it back to Congo, which is why Massa made a video says now we're at war, because they knew that the Bantu awakening was the end. It was going to cause changes. People were going to start to see things, and it was going to ruin the entire. This is why they needed so many distractions of sports, entertainment, money, poverty, all these different things that they did. Now you're going to see what's done on purpose. Okay, so this was the plan. This is what they knew that the Most High's people would be coming out of their captivity. They knew that he would be exposing the establishment, and so they were. When I know Toko talked about the meeting that was held back in 1960, it talks about how they were going to prepare for this, the angels, okay, to get ready to bring us back. And of course, the Kabbalah had their plan to intervene, which is where you get, like the lady I sent out a video. If you watch her, she has a 7-hour video game, that Kay Griggs. That's why they had to censor her, because she was revealing a lot of things, but she wouldn't give you the reason why. Well, this is all the reason why. Okay. So we got the CIA, Department of Defense, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Interior, Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Immigration Neutralization Service, INS. So you want to talk about all the stuff that's going on with the people coming over the border. Again, these are all practice dry runs to prepare for the events. But they turn it into newsworthy stuff and say, "Oh, we're doing this." No, it's all they all setting it up. They're running a practice runs on all kind of stuff to see what it's going to take whenever this goes down to deal with whatever's going to happen with the exodus. Participating state agencies under federal jurisdiction, the National Guard units. Now you see they got deployed to Washington, D.C. Reserve units of the Army. Now this is why they also do live fire exercises inside of the United States with cities because they're preparing for that well. Highway patrol agencies, state police agencies. Now you know what the police, not what they're doing with the police now and all the things that's going on with Black Lives Matter. State Emergency Management Agency, disaster relief, and civil disturbance. All right, and they, of course, they actually practice this even when they have the inclement weather that destroys towns and stuff. So this is all part of it. So it says here, participating local, and even before 1954, when the Supreme Court of the United States of America declared unconstitutional separate education, recreational facilities, racial unrest, and discord had become very nearly a part of the American way of life. We now know it was done that Rothschild was a part of that. They were setting it all up because we know Toko was here. Now we know Toko and Kimbangu. What they were trying to do, we now know that the Nation of Islam, they were aware that Toko was. So was the NAACP and all the other groups, the Boule. They knew what was going on because they wanted to stop it. So they used us to help, but we didn't know. So it says in 1954, however, the unrest would result in loss of life, limb, and property. Well, of course, a lot of this was instigated. We just don't know that they're going to find us going to come out the truth. This is what the Morse Heart says, afflicted for 400 years, and has cost the taxpayers of the nation $10 billion. So what they're trying to say is, for any watchdog groups that were trying to basically say, okay, why did you create this organization? This is the excuse. Oh yeah, they've been destroying everything, so we need to put them in check. Okay, so this has been in place, like I said, since they put it in place in 1959 or 60. Around the same time, what happened? The Angels came to Congo. Boom, they kicked out the Belgians. Okay, it's like, okay, we got a problem on our hands. So law enforcement agencies in this country continue to exercise excessive force and murder of so-called African American. Now, this is going to tie into why Kefas did his video, which I would have missed his seminar, about why we need the power of might and all the other things of our abilities that the 12 tribes have, that they mock as the X-Men, that people don't know that. And so what it is showing you is this is what they plan. They got the military involved, they got the federal government involved, they got everybody involved ready for this. See, and they keep it all top secret for certain clearances, because you got Black people in the military. You can't tell them, hey, this is for you. Okay. But they make it look like it's for terrorism, is the title they always use. Terrorist training. Now that's why they went. Now you see why they changed it now to domestic terrorism is the new threat, because now they know they're preparing for what's about to happen. Why, in fact, given the recent uprising in St. Louis and Cincinnati, remember St. Louis happened before, Cincinnati happened again. For example, the same unjust and violence has raised by tremendous grave question as to whether the races can ever live in peace with each other, which we know that can't happen because they instigate stuff behind closed doors. Each passing year, the months has brought new intelligence that despite new laws, programs passed, monies to alleviate the condition of so-called minority, again, to alleviate the condition of the so-called minority is still not satisfied. And we know this is baloney, because many of the organizations that were set up was to make sure that we were never satisfied by how they set it up. It was never meant to work. Demonstration, rallies, sit-ins, marching, rioting have become part of the familiar scene. Again, once again, this is to justify Africa to the general public, you know, the sheeple. Hey, this is why we're doing this, because these people lost their mind, but they don't tell you why. City across the land, America's image, world is very severe damage. So they're saying, oh, our image is damaged. When y'all don't understand, all your world leaders are secret society. So it ain't got nothing to do with America. It's not nothing to do with America. They know what they're trying to stop. Okay. Now, there was also issues going on in Europe, but they kind of left them low keyed more. Okay. So press closer, seeking advantage. So this is what I'm saying. We've been at war with these people for a long time. They've always known. But now it becomes a big time war for the Bantu awakening because this is exactly what they've been waiting for. So when the emergency comes, so here we go. It is expected, therefore, that when these objectives are denied, the minorities, so-called African Americans, racial war must be considered inevitable. So this is what they have now done now. This is your Black Lives Matter. This is your, you know, the rioting you're seeing with the police brutality, the shootings, all that stuff that's going on. Okay, this is now going to be the emergency, which they know that the emergency is really connected to the 400 years. We're done. We're out of here. Most High is coming to get us. Those who know an awakening. The Hebrew Israelites, however, they've been given a different truth on purpose. And I'll get into that in a minute because they're all part of this too. So it says, we expect the total involvement of over 34 million members of the minority, which is now up to like, somewhere around 100 some million. No, probably a little, yeah, about 100 some million now. Okay, this is why when that general, and I was like, I was listening to him, and he's like, yeah, we can have everybody American vaccinated within a 72-hour period. This is not for the vaccination, people. This is for this. They got to have every military personnel in place in a 72-hour period for the emergency. Remember, I just told you the Department of Defense is a part of this. This is what the Jade Helm practices were for. This is why they made Texas a red state, because there's guns everywhere, and other states that were very much high volatile states for when this happens. And it says here, is the goal to terminate once and for all. Terminate. Underline terminate. We must expect, remember the movie The Purge? When the emergency comes, we must expect the total involvement of all 34 plus, it's about 100 now, minority men, women, and children. For once this project is launched, its goal is to terminate once and for all the minority threat to the whole of the American society, indeed the free world. Bantus. They know that this is for the Banabetu. This is for Yisolele. They want to exterminate us, and now they're doing it because now they know the 400 years are over. Preliminary Department of Interior. Under King Alfred, the nation has been divided into 10 regions. In case of a national emergency or civil disturbance, minority members will be evacuated from the cities by federalized National Guard units. Okay, that's why they're practicing in DC right now. Federal troops and state and local law agencies have become federalized under martial law or executive order, which Trump put into effect when COVID started. So we're in the emergency right now, and they're starting to ramp it up. Remember, we also had, George Floyd last year, all that stuff. They're now in the emergency. This is why all the law enforcement agencies have now been activated. Why? Because now the Bantu awakening is ramping up. Like I said, they've been preparing for this since 2012 or whatever, or even before that, when they knew the time was coming when Josiah was going to come and do his thing with us. They just couldn't tell the Christians because the Christians can't know who we are. Those of us who are Christians or any other group, they can't know the truth. And this is what they're preparing for. And detaining, so it says here, the minority members will be transported using commercial or military transportation. They're already doing this. The people who are being arrested in the Black Lives Matter movement are already going through this. Commercial and military transportation detained in nearby military internment centers, prisons, or military installations units until a further course of action has been decided, which is basically going to tie into the wheat and the tares scenario where they're going to destroy you, pretty much. Okay, that's why the Most High said, "Who you choose to follow will get you killed." When I was mentioning that in my book, in my previous video. So in 1990, when George Bush was vice president and then he became president, he began the process of installing all kinds of gulag or various military installations underground and above ground on various different levels to detain you. Okay, this is where they got the movie idea from with Planet of the Apes, because when they start to detain us, he has to come free us, which we're technically already detained because of our mental state that we don't know who we are. But they're going to turn it into, this is where you also get the movie, the third rendition, War, the Planet of the Apes, when they go to capture them and they put them in these cages and all this stuff. So this is why Masa's saying we're going to war. FEMA, remember I told you they were in there on this. So like I said, they declared they created the emergency when the Most High brought the pestilence of the COVID. Now they're going to go into emergency action because now check this out. We know that the ostrich is a African bird, so they know Africa. The FEMA Gulag secret concentration camps. Hello, the FEMA Gulag. Everybody keeps seeing pictures of where they turning Walmarts into, facilities. They see all this hidden stuff, coffins and whatnot. So they're already starting to exterminate many people secretly. You just don't know. In September of the ostrich, we printed a story from the CBA bulletin was listed that following principal civilian concentration camps established in Gulag, USA under the Rex 84 program, Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, Fort Drum, New York, Fort Indian Gap, Pennsylvania, Camp AP Hill, Virginia, Oakland, California, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, Vandenberg Air Force Base, California, Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Huachuca, Arizona, Camp Crome, Florida. The February ostrich print, a map of the expanding Gulag. Although this list has been stirred. Now we know this was done in 1954, so we know they got more camps. I mean, this is not in 1960, so they have more camps. Oh no, this is actually 80 because it says Rex 84. So this is the updated. This is from the 80s. So this is about the 80s. Okay. Then it says for at least 20 years, knowledgeable patriots have been warning of this sinister plots to incarcerate dissidents opposing plans of the elitist syndicate for a totalitarian new world order. Indeed, the plot was recognized with the insidious encroachment of religionism back in the 1960s. As early as 1968, the greatest land steal in history, leading the global corporate to socialism, which was a master land plan for the United States by executive orders involving water resources. Okay, this is when they started controlling everything. Population movement and control, pollution control. This is when they started doing zoning projects and all kind of stuff like that. Zoning and land use navigation, environmental bills. Indeed, the real undercover aim, so-called environmental renaissance, is the abomination of private property. So what they're doing is they're making the country they own you. Anything. This is the next step. Okay. All the prelude to the total grab of the World Conversation Bank. So this is why they want to make it go digital now. But at the same time, the Nizam's going to make people broke. So this is all the stuff they're thinking they can do to the Most High, but they're gonna fail. The map of the page lists executive order prevail in positions of emergency from 1970s file. The late General P.A. Duvall's alert sent us by Merritt Newby, an editor of the defunct American Challenge. So these are people that's been trying to warn us. It says, wake up Americans, the Bolsheviks have approached Gorbachev's imposition of emergency to suppress unrest. Henry Kissinger and his clients hardly missed a day. Profits in their deals with the butchers of Tiananmen Square. Are you next? So now you see who was behind Tiananmen Square. So here's what they're going to do. Executive orders, applicable executive orders, the following executive orders now recorded in the Federal Registry and therefore accepted by Congress as the law of the land can be put into effect at any time the emergency is declared. All communications media seized by the federal government. 100995. Seizure of electrical power, fuels, including gasoline, minerals. 100997. You can see, you can use for yourself. Seizure of all food resources, farm and farm equipment. This is why you're now starting to see grocery stores. They're wondering where's our resources at? Yeah, they're starting this. Seizure of all kinds of transportation, including your car, personal control of highways and seaports. Seizure of all civilians for work under federal supervision. Hello. Read it again. Seizure of all civilians for work under federal supervision. Gray state, if you haven't heard of that. Federal takeover all health, education, and welfare. Postmaster General empowered to register every man, woman, and child in the U.S. This is your passport plan. Seizure. Now, why do you think they want to do this? Seizure of all aircraft and airports by the federal government because they do not want us leaving. Housing and Finance Authority may shift the population from one locality to another, complete integration. So they can come in, take the people that live in the inner cities and move you. Seizure of railroads, inland waterways, and storage facilities. The director of the office emergency planning authorized to put executive order into effect times of increased international tension or financial crisis. So here's what they're going to do. We see now international tension. What's happening? We got riots all over the world. Financial crisis, this is coming. It started last year. It started with COVID. It also performs such additional functions as president may direct. This is why people are already underground. People, they know they're about to do this. So it says here, that's why I try to tell people the Constitution does not exist. They do not care. These executive orders grossly and flagrantly violate Article 4, Section of the 4 of the Constitution of the United States. They do not care. Because the government, what are you going to do? You saw what happened. Okay. You're going to get they're going to come after you no matter what. Okay. So remember, this is all secret societies. They've already shredded the Constitution. So here we go. This is why we got a police state right now. It's already in effect. When the government gets out of hand, we can no longer be controlled by people short of violence, overthrow, and setting sense. There are two sources of power which are used by the dictatorial government to keep the people in line. The police power, the power of the purse, so their finances, and the police, through which the necessities of life can be withheld. So they can take your money, which they're going to do that soon. And look what the police are doing already. And both of these powers are no longer balanced between the federal branches, between the federal and state governments. Now, because this is happening, this is why you got secret society people running these organizations, because they can institute this anytime. So here's what they're going to do. This came out in 1969. Guess who started in 1969? Hebrew Israelites. This organization they basically took over for Nation of Islam because of the fact that the Most High knew, and Tatan Zombie said, one second, Mas is calling me. Okay, Matona Masaki Jalal, like we said, spiritual warfare. Okay, so let me go into the One West camp. Many people may not know this. It's now starting to be understood among other Hebrew Israelites that this organization was actually started. If you actually go to the movie The Judas and the Messiah, this is the transition from NAACP. Because remember, Malcolm had started to wake people up saying we're the real Jews. Okay, he started to say that. This was the transition phase to control it. The real Jew, he talked about Congo in a video that Massa did. This was the transition to control it. He talked about Martin Luther King Jr. said the mountaintop. This was the transition to control it. So the Black Panthers started to bring awareness to the community. Okay, this was the transition to control it. So this all these were put into place whenever these brothers showed up in Africa, showing that who the real Hebrews are, who the real Most High's people are, the captivity and all that. So the goal was they knew the awakening was going to happen, and Toko was behind it, but they had to find a way to make sure that it was controlled here in America, and also to start run interference with what Toko was preaching around the world. So this was why they created they started using our original history and teaching this concept that we are the 12 tribes and all that and whatever, and we know the Torah was ours and all the different things that they wanted to do. But they came up with this concept. All of the 12 tribes were in America in the Western Hemisphere, that Africans were Hamites, all these different things that they were saying, that they came up with the concept that it's what they call the 12 tribes doctrine, that the white man was Esau, when Esau is really a spirit that can actually be anyone because he's an entity that works with Satan. to tell you who the false Messiah was with Nimrod, but at the same time don't tell you that you're still not detached. And the harlot, they tell you who the harlot is. It's kind of like you're like basically you're a more enlightened Christian is basically what they're saying. So they keep that, and they keep you according to the law, statutes, and commandments as a law like Judaism, but at the same time you're still accepting Messiah. They get you using the symbols like the Star of David, which is actually satanic. That was never it, and they don't tell you that. And it was because what they did was the plan was to de-educate the black man so that the black man could be controlled with false doctrine. So this is what happened is you got people that were getting educated because of Malcolm and all this awakening. Africa, the Jehovah's Witness brought Simon Toko on the scene through a broadcast, which they were like, "Oh no, we can't have this." Um, so this was the event that all of the so-called Ashkenazi Jew or the group, they were like, "This is the Kabbalah saying, okay, we got to get ahead of this, so that we're gonna start to give them more doctrine that's similar to what they're gonna hear." But at the same time, it's not the full truth. So they made the black people think in America that you were the ones that started the awakening of the 12 tribes, when it actually started with Simon Toko and the Church of Jesus Christ in the World, even before this. Okay. And these were actually people that were demonstrating the power. They were doing the Messiah's type of walk, everything that was going on. This was all part of what they had in mind. So here's the deal. Okay. Let's go to this document. Again, this is all about they never wanted to worship at our feet. So the war is coming. This is the war we're talking about. Sorry, get set up. So it says here the plan first appeared in a John A. Williams novel, The Man Who Cried I Am, Sonini Nanini, of course. A fictionalized account of the life of death of Richard Wright. In the afterward edition, Williams compares the King Alfred plan to the intelligence program devised by none other than J. Edgar Hoover in the 1960s to monitor the movements of black militants. This is your Judas and the Messiah. It also bears similar that in the early 1950s surrounding the McCarran Act and anti-communist laws, in which political subserviers were rounded up and placed in the concentration camp during the national emergency. So what you're seeing right now with the NWO, they are creating the emergency. They need to create. That's why you're seeing now there's been how many shootings? Like people are just shooting like crazy. So they created, like the lady who said in the video, if you ever watch it, she says all these assassins and all these killer types are created so that they can actually create the emergency when the time comes for them to lock it down. And that's what they're doing now. They're creating all the emergencies so they can lock it down. But they're controlling the news media to report it a certain way. Now, am I being sensitive to people who lost their lives? No. But what the problem is that you haven't been taught the truth about where you live. Okay, the United States is not a Christian nation as you've been told. It is a Babylonian system. They just couldn't tell you that because then you would never have built it. Okay. Also, it is a system that was designed to use the children the children of the Most High to build the establishment. So that's why they had to hide the identity of who the people they took on the slave ships were. When they know it was already a deal that was made with the Most High to send his people into captivity, which is why the the Jews ran the slave trade. Their role was to make sure that anything that was found connecting the Bantu or any type of connections to the Bantu people was erased so that it did not come to the light of their own people that they are not the people. This is what the rabbis were doing. Okay. They had to make sure they infiltrated all forms of religion to make sure that no one knew who the real Hebrews were. And this is why they control even the pastors in Africa right now to teach what they want, because it's all about Nimrod. It's always been about Nimrod. That's why his image is in Washington, D.C., but they call it the Washington Monument, but you never knew about that. And also, his mother is the Statue of Liberty, but they don't tell you that either. But they changed the images of what they used to look like because now, again, the Most High flipped the nations. The white dominant nations became on top of the black dominant nations. Now they're going to flip back, but it's going to be with the Bantu people as the head because a lot of people don't know what took place. This is why they created races in the first place, so that you would start to have a hatred for certain groups of people unawares. Okay. So here we go. I did all the agencies that are involved. Let me talk about the groups. All right. All right. Let me go over the regions. I meant to go over that. The regions, they have the different regions already in place. So these were the groups that were the problem when they first created this. Okay. So this was the Black Muslims, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, Congress of Racial Equality, Uhuru Movement, Group on Advanced Leadership Gold, Freedom Now Party, United Black Nationalists of America, the New Pan-African Movement. Hello, they're talking about Pan-Africanism. Southern Christian Leadership, SCLC, the National Urban League, the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, Committee on Racial and Religious Groups. Now you can include the Hebrew Israelites, Black Lives Matter. What's the Hispanic one? Oh man, I can't remember their name. AIM, which was a Native American one. There's another one. Oh, I can't remember the Hispanic. If anybody can tell me, that's fine. Let me know. But these other groups got added. But on top of the list that just went to the top of the list is the Bantu Awakening. Okay, I'll tell you why. The eighth nation, Yapoa, the Most High gave power to America. Today, the representative of all nations of the world is America. Okay. Today, the representative of all nations of the world is America. That's why the UN is in New York and has now surrendered to the United States of wars. Okay. That's why the Pentagon controls everything. They began to realize their mistake and formed the League of Nations in order to fulfill the mandate of the Motatanzambi. Okay. The League of Nations was designed to actually control America's power, but guess who infiltrated that? Take a wild guess. Are they fulfilling it? No, they didn't fulfill it. So we know that. They started with peace around the world, but again, remember, um, it was posted by Massa, he said, who was it? Yeah, it was Massa's video when what's his name? This is about the time actually when Malcolm was speaking. He said that they turned it over to America to control the fact that the nations were being that Africa was becoming um, uncolonized. So they went backdoor on them. That's what America came to do. The United States of America was stick it was must because the heavens are different. So now we know what happened is this plan went into effect to circumvent this what he's talking about. And this is what brought about where we are today, where it says the one more Armageddon. So it says, and one if one of the day United States of America fails, which it has, because we know the system is now imploding, the war of your poor God, Tanzania, will break out, and nations will go to war against the Lamb, which of course we know is Kuswa Congo, Isaiah Congo. And the war is called Armageddon. So part of that process is what I'm talking about, this King Alfred plan. So what's happening now that we're going into the awakening, and that's why they brought out the false Messiah and everything's going on. Remember I said they don't want us to go into, they don't want to do Revelations 3 and 9. Okay. So now this is why they're activating the emergency. So the emergency is now going to include the entire 50 states. You're going to see the transition to the one world government is now in effect. The NWO is now going to go flex its muscle. The false messiah is going to start making changes. You're going to start to see Noahide laws go into effect. You're going to see you're not going to have free travel between states anymore when they start determining that contamination rate is an issue. As the Most High's plagues start to kick in more and more, as the judgment hit starts to hit, they're going to use it against those who have the strong delusion. Okay. So now for the black people who are not sealed, like Masa said, this is going to happen to you. So it says here, at the appropriate time to be designated by the president, which is going to be Biden. He's already started to do it. And actually, Trump already initiated it. They're just continuing it. The leaders of some of these organizations are to be detained only when it's clear that they cannot prevent the emergency. So at this point, they have determined they cannot prevent the emergency. And exactly, I suspect that with Chauvin and this trial, because now you know the truth, some people know the truth about what's his name, Floyd, that he was a Freemason, just like Chauvin's a Freemason. This is why they created the emergency. So what's going to happen is they're not going to be able to prevent the emergency. You see all the countries, cities right now are erupting in protest. It says here, working with the public. Now, see, what's going to happen is they're going to bring the Hebrew Israelites into this through their leadership. Yes. The Hebrew Israelites are going to start to be a part of this because of the fact that many of the leaders of the Hebrew Israelites are secret society members. So the point is, as a sister had a vision, you will now become affiliated with the terrors that the Most High is talking about. Because unfortunately, as we're now seeing with some of the brothers that was being exposed, the doctrine was never sound. It was only meant to control or disrupt the true awakening by the secret society. That's why the Hebrew Israelites are being run by the CIA. I'm just telling you that right now, and the NSA. You are run by the NSA and the CIA. This is why you got so much of the information you received, because all of this stuff came through the Bantu awakening in Africa, and this is the knowledge they got from the Vatican to release to you, so that you had knowledge that you could be able to teach to people to make it look like that you were actually doing it. And this is why now the intention was to make, when the Bantu brothers came on the scene and the Bantu awakening showed up, you would deny it. And this is where Messiah says in the scripture to deceive even the elect. So the point of all what I'm saying is this was all meant to deceive the elect. They did it by creating religion to Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hebrew Israelites, okay, all these different things. Crips and Bloods, they're part of this too. four corner hustlers, all kind of stuff that they did. The drug war, the so-called drug war, bringing in drugs. Um, Now you see the resurgence of the Black Panthers coming back. To make you militant, because instead of actually fighting spiritually, you're fighting carnal. And so what that does is it gives them the excuse to kill you, which is what they're doing now. So if you come with carnality, this is what they're going to do. This is the plan. That's why Cephas was trying to say we need to fight with spirituality, because you cannot stop spirituality. When you fight with spirituality, this is now the Most High. This is His power. Now they have no answer, which is why they beefed up the military through false armed races, by creating false military war scenarios. So they had an excuse to get the weapons they needed to take on Yesiah Congo with the war with the Lamb, which the world calls Jesus Christ. So now you're going to see the military powers are going to be fighting against the Most High, not actually helping you get to the kingdom. This is World War III because of who is running the show. Okay, so now what's going to happen is the Department of Defense is going to start to weaponize. They weaponize the police, as you saw. If you ever get a chance to watch Ray Higgins, he did a video on the King Alfred plan. It's where they basically started to, back in about 10 years ago or so, the military weaponry started to show up in the police departments, because they're getting ready for this. They're getting ready to detain people. They're getting ready to go down the streets. They're going to get ready to. That's why they've been doing live exercises. Jade Helm. They're now creating the scenario where they're going to take your guns away because of all the mass shootings that are happening. Um, they're going to start implementing gun laws and all kind of stuff that's going to make people mad, because of course it's going to create the civil war, with the intent that who gets caught in the crossfire are the Bantu people, the Bakongos, don't know that they are Bakongo, who don't know that they are the real Jews, who don't know that they are the real people. And this is where the Most High is going to expose the churches, going to cause the great falling away, to show you that these black pastors were not telling the truth, that many of the Christians and even Islam was not telling you the truth, because now you're going to get the real truth coming out. But of course, they're fighting it because they don't want people to know. All along, we lied to you. But that's what the Most High said. It's going to say this is how Satan has deceived the whole world. Okay, so it even says an estimated 40 to 50% of the white population will not, for various reasons, engage the minority during the emergency. Why? Why do you think that is? Because they are going to either be on our side or they're going to be scared. It says American armed forces are spread around the world. A breakout of war abroad means fewer troops at home to handle the emergency. This is why they sent you out. And this is why they don't want us here. Okay. They wanted the armed forces going to different parts of the world so that you have fewer troops. So this is so you can make it big. Okay, now they're gonna bring them back to lock you down. That's why they ended the war in Afghanistan, supposedly. We are confident the minority would hold any city it took for only a few hours. The lack of weapons, facilities, logistics all put the minority at a final disadvantage. Since the Korean War, this department has shifted minority members of the armed forces to areas where, now listen to this part, combat is likely to occur with the aim of eliminating through combat as many combat trained military servicemen as possible. And I had a buddy of mine who was in the Marines. He said they knew they were getting put on the front lines to get killed. Okay. Today, the ratio of minority combat deaths in Vietnam, this is what they did to you in Vietnam. And like Masa said, it was Viet Congo. So it was Congo versus Congo, Bantu versus Bantu in Vietnam. You just didn't know that. Ho Chi Minh was a high level Freemason. Uh, so they're expecting that they're going to raise the level of the emergency to most of the cities, to where they will get like you see what's going on with Portland right now. This is part of that. Portland went out of control. Remember, they said to defund the police. This is why they want to defund the police, because if they make it out of control, this is an excuse to go into the emergency. Okay, National Guard, everybody going in, boom, boom, boom. Start putting your FEMA cams, lock you down, da da da. That was the plan. Okay, why? Because they already knew what was coming. Now they're trying to stop it. Now they're trying to create distraction. This is why they needed you to be comfortable in Babylon. This is why they wanted you to be wealthy, all these different things that they do, even though even though it go against scripture. That's why they had to teach false doctrine, how to be had to increase the prosperity doctrine, how they had to increase the concept that Christians were always right, even though the Most High in First 4 John 22 it says salvation is of the Jews, which is really Yahudim, because the word Jew didn't exist. And that's why these people who claim to be don't want to worship at your feet. So they're creating the emergency so that they have a reason to kill you. Because we know who runs it. Like I said, we know who runs it. I mean, they sit in the Oval Office with the president. The Sanhedrin runs the show. The Sanhedrin, they're all the handlers. Okay, they're right underneath the fallen angels, the Illuminati, what do you want to call them? Rothschild is not he's a Nephilim, whatever. They're all right there. Rothschild was putting a plan together to exterminate the Bantus. This is it. Okay. Because they do not want us to rule. They don't want us to return to our kingdom. They don't want people to know about Congo. This is why the Bantu Awakening, talking about Congo, they shut down Chiba's channel. They're trying to do all these different things, and like I said, eventually it will happen. That's why we're having to go. Fortunately, the Most High has provided alternatives. But at the same time, this is why we need to really understand our brothers and sisters. And I'll tell you right now, our brothers and sisters in the Hebrew Israelites are in danger, because King Alfred includes them. They're going to come after them and kill them, wondering why this is the tribulation period that the Messiah is talking about. Okay, this is the movie The Purge. Why are the mostly the people in the Purge dark skinned people? Okay, they already know what they're going to do. Okay, they're going to have their own people being a part of this too. Their organizations, they have people already lined up. They're trained. They're combatant trained. They're going to turn against us and start to purge you. Okay, they already have the system in place ready to do it. This is when the Messiah says Yakuba will turn against Yakuba. They've been doing this all along in all the wars we've been fighting around the world. Now they're going to turn it into, they're going to turn it on, they're going to turn it into the homeland thing, black on black. This is why they had the Crip. They started it off with the Crips and the Bloods. Now it's going to turn into a global, a countrywide thing. Okay, where they're going to turn blacks against each other. This is how they're going to do it. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, this is why it's more important now than ever to pay attention, to understand that the Bantu Awakening is your ticket out of here. But in order to be, you have to be sealed by the Most High. He knows where you're going. He knows. That's why they hid the fact. They already knew through when they were listening to Toko preach in the 1950s. He already told them where the city of Christ was going to be. They don't want you to make it there. They want to make sure that the people who are chosen to go to the city of the Most High don't make it. So this is the plan that went into effect. This is why they did all the MK Ultra, all the things that they do, the blood oaths, everything that they wanted you to do. Because if they soil the bride, you can't, he won't come. But this, that Most High said, he already has a contingency plan for a lot of this stuff. Okay. So that's why it's imperative to realize they always hated us from the beginning. We've always been hated. Okay. There are those that have been part, I mean, even those who there's those who don't know who they are, so they took your mind away from you. and they so that you would stop looking for your heritage. That's why they told you forget where you came from when they brought us on the boat. They knew who they were bringing. They knew where the real. They already knew all along where the real Israel was. They knew all along who the real Jews were. This is why they created the other version. All these things were already put in place to stop Kuswa Congo. They did not want to have to. They did not want to have to make. They did not want to see the Bantus go back on top. So they did all of this stuff. The space thing was created because they wanted to go kill Tatanzambi, to break the firmament. They created the illusion that they were going up there to look for planets and all the different things. When the real when they knew really they knew forthwith that it was designed to kill the Most High. They were trying to break in. They were trying to be like Nimrod. Okay, period. And they were trying to get stronger rockets, all kind of stuff, to break the firmament, do anything they could. The nuclear weapons were designed to blow it up, all kind of stuff to stop whatever's going to happen. They know their time is up now, like Masa said, so they're going to try to take as many of us with them as they can. That's what Esau's plan is. Esau, the spirit of Esau, your brother, he knows his time is up. Now he's going to try to take as many Bantus with him as he possibly can. This is what's coming. Okay. Do they care? They don't care what happens to the Christians. They don't care what happens to the Muslims. They don't care what happens to the Jews. They don't care what happens to the Buddhists. They don't care what happens to them as long as Jacob, Yakuba, Yisolele does not come to power, or when he comes to power, it's going to be a fight. Their goal is we're going to do everything within our possible plan to not have to worship at Yakuba's feet ever. And this is why they twisted everything and taught history wrong and controlled everything that they're doing. But the Most High is about to flip the switch. He's going. That's why we power up. Like Kefas was saying, we gonna turn. We gonna start doing things that they can't even comprehend. But they already knew it, saw it coming. They think they have a contingency plan for that, but they'll see. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Anyway, so I wanted to go do this quick video. Again, please watch the video Masa put up. Like he said, because we're now at war. Even now, we're struggling to get things on our channels. The internet's starting to become an issue because this is going. We want to know what's causing the lag in the internet. This people's phones are acting up, acting stupid because they don't want. They're trying to run interference. They don't want us to get this out, and so they can't just shut down one facet. They got to shut it down, all of it. That's why you're seeing stuff getting, you know, they're transitioning. They're trying to get everybody on the same page. They're trying to get everybody ready to go. Because once they give the go or no go order, which is about to be really soon, all these cities every American city is going to be under siege, every one of them. But they're going to do that. In order to do that, they have to show you, look, you're not safe. Look at all the shooting. We can't control all these shootings. They're out of control. They had the mall shooting. They had the shooting on the Asian people. They're saying everybody's at risk. We can't control people shooting each other. They're creating the emergency for the Bantus. Okay. This is why anybody who's ever known the truth, they've tried to kill or get rid of in ways that you don't even know. And the Most High has stopped it. They have people who have died in the process that you don't know about. But the point is, the Most High allows that because if your time is done, you've given up your message, you go. Okay. You've done your part. Now it's time for you to go. Hand on to the next person. That's why Toko said, there's a whole lot more like me coming. You won't be able to stop them. This is the plan they put together for that. They're like, oh no, we're gonna stop you. Okay, when he said that, this is the plan that came out for that. Anyway, so again, hallelujah. Bantu people, that's why I say this is gonna be a time of preparedness, readiness. That's why we told you get your banners up. This is why they had a conflict in the banners. Like I said, they got agents everywhere. They do not want you. This is why you got to be careful who you're listening to. I mean, like I said, if you don't think I think I'm lying to you, seek and pray the Most High. I already know that He made me for this reason. Masa and I talked about it. It's like the Most High's put protections over you. A lot of us have been protected, just like we did with Toko, um, with Kimbangu and others. You know, the problem is the people who are going to be impacted now are those who are against what the Most High calls His remnant. You're against those who have been called to save you. Okay, and that was done on purpose. Like I said, the CIA runs all of the. The CIA is now in control, and same with the Jesuits, of all religious activity. They want to know what's going on, who's doing what. This is why there's certain you can't. This is why in churches you can try it. You can't mention certain books in a Christian church, and somebody don't come and say tap you on the shoulder. You can't discuss that here. Even those who think they can know, they think it's okay. You can't talk about that book in this church. And like I said, they make it to where they'll make it very interesting for you that they will make your life miserable. Okay, this is how they've done it. This is what they've done. This is what they do. They're intimidators. All the while, they know they have to continue to give their rituals to their gods. Okay, so anyway, I just thought I'd share this with you all. Again, let's go over it again. In the events of widespread and continuing and coordinated racial disturbances in the United States, which we're seeing that right now, King Alfred is this at the discretion of the president. He has already activated it. I will tell you that right now. It has gone into activate. This is why they talk. This is why they already went underground. The big dogs, as they call themselves, the big dogs. They went underground already because he's already activated it, and they're going to now start going to the next phase. So you'll see that happening here in the next few months. Like I said, they're going to try to, so because they know most of us are trying to run to Africa now, don't be surprised if you see them start seizing people. They're going to start shutting down the airports, shutting down all kind of stuff. I believe even Issachar talked about this, which makes you want to know. But at the same time, like I said, if your message is not creating unity among the Bantu people on all sides, most High is going to have a problem with that, guaranteed, big time. Um, See, there's a number 22. We know that. That's all we know. I wanted to go over the regions. I think the other one says it. This so you know what's going on. Let me get to the regions real quick. All right, so here's your regions. Sorry about the noise. Where did the regions go? I was just doing this for brother. Okay, here we go. The 10 federal regions, they've already done this. Okay, so you got Region 1, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont, and the capital is Boston. Remember, we just had the Boston incidents a couple times. Region 2, New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. And then the capital is New York. So you see, that's why you probably got sorties being flown around that area. Region 3, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, District Columbia, and Philadelphia is your capital. Um, now you can understand why you see military aircraft flying around so much these days and what they're really doing. National Homeland Security. Remember, it's called Homeland Security for a reason. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, Tennessee, capital Atlanta. Remember that they just declared, once again, they declared the U.S. citizen a potential domestic terrorist threat. And they said now they're going to start cracking down on what? Extremism, which means anybody who is against what they want people to do, you know who you're extremely against, especially the anti-Semite movement. It's going to happen. Region 5, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, Wisconsin, capital of Chicago. Region 6, this is my brother was talking about. He was like, whoa, Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth. Like I said, this is already going into effect right now. Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and regional capital is Kansas City. This is my region. Colorado, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, Wyoming. Regional capital is Denver. This is why they call Denver Washington, D.C. too. Okay. Arizona, California. Uh, sorry, this is 7, 8, 9. Arizona, California. Look who's in number 9. 9/11. This is where you're gonna get your. I can tell you right now, this is where your earthquake's gonna go down. Arizona, California, Hawaii, Nevada, capital region San Francisco. Region 10. Hello, this is why Oregon. Hello, 10 is a number. The X. Ding, ding, ding. This is why you got Portland on Washington having all the riots right now. Alaska, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and the capital is Seattle. And that's in a movie that got destroyed. It says supplementing these then regions, each of the states is to be divided into sub-regions so that federal executive orders provided over every community. And this is why this is what they've been doing with the whole thing about COVID the the COVID levels. Okay. Don't think it's not coming back. It's gonna come up in a different way. Now listen to this. And we already had this happening, but we know this is all this is what they're trying to do. This is why they say Trump's coming back. Da, 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 da. There's gonna be an incident where they're gonna show you something about Biden. It's gonna come out and it's gonna create a big deal. The president need not wait for some emergency such as an impeachment ouster. He can declare the national emergency at any time and freeze. That's what I try to tell people. Trump already did this. Biden is continuing it. That's all he's doing. They created a disturbance. That was an emergency act when they did the practice run or whatever they did with the Congress. Most High also is part of that too, because he allows these things to go down. It says here, the president need not wait for some emergency such as impeachment ouster. He can declare a national emergency at any time and freeze everything just as he has already frozen wages and prices in the Congress are powerless to the Congress and the states are powerless to prevent such an exit or dictatorship unless Congress moves to revoke this destroying power before the chief executive moves to invoke. Guess what they did? They threatened Congress. Don't even try it. This is why they keep calling deep state or whatever. But here's the problem: it's all part of the show because the point of this is to get it, keep to not let your Cuba go. All right. So states under it says here. Here's what happens. By proclaiming and putting in effect Executive Order number 11490, which they've already done, the president would put the United States under total martial law and military dictatorship. So right now, this is what they call the military industrial complex. Right here. This is what we're in right now. We are in this right now. But they keep it under wraps because they don't want the American people to know your government is gone. It does not exist. Because the agenda right now is to stop Jacob, to stop Yakuba without anybody knowing until we're ready. All right, so once again, hallelujah, Sambololo, Lola Quingri, brothers and sisters. This is not about a time to be afraid, because I know some of us are going to say, oh my gosh, no. If we are the Most High, he'll take care of his chosen people. There will be a great delusion for those who believe the lies, for sure. With whatever they're going to do with Project Bluebeam, I don't know. Just ignore it. Make sure you get ready. There is going to be a sign from the real Messiah, and all the nations going to mourn because of this right here. When that sign comes, this is going to be the mourning process. Like I said, you people who think the Yahweh Shai or whatever, okay, is coming with his chariots, the way they talking about it, believe you me, they've done a lot of manipulation of how you think. Okay, yes, the chariots are here, but a lot of them are reapers for the tares. Tares go first. Okay. But anyway, the point is you probably think, well, I'm not a tare. If you go if you are being run by one of these federal organizations, then the Most High says you are a terror. I'm telling you right now, the CIA runs you. The DOD runs you. The FBI runs you. The Department of Justice controls you. You have federal agents in your organization as we speak that are undercover in the Hebrew Israelites and also as Nation of Islam and also in the churches, secret society people, brotherhood, blood oath takers. Okay. If you have blood oath takers running your organization, I said I know in the Bantu awakening that the zombie says we die. We can't do these things. That's why a lot of us are already people are getting curses already for doing stuff they shouldn't do. Believe you me, it doesn't go down that way. We can't just go ahead and do this. You're gonna get when you're in the real truth now, you cannot play games. Period. So that's the incentive. You're gonna die just like the husband and wife. When you're dealing with the real Mon and Semi, you have to be very careful because your time can be up too. So anyway, all right. Again, Zola Quinley and Sambalolo, and like I said, I'll get this loaded up, and hopefully you get a chance to watch it. And like I said, this is the future. It's already about to. I have a feeling tomorrow is a significant day for white supremacy. I just got a feeling with all I'm seeing right now, it could blow up because of it, because of the Proud Boys and all the stuff that's going on. They've been mentioning white supremacy. Biden just did a really strange speech talking about it. Um, I told Brother Nata it's kind of weird that Harris was talking to the Japanese like, "Where is Biden?" And see they've actually now mentioned all of the key players in World War II that played a role as they're now talking about this whole thing with Russia and Crimea for World War III, which we know the Ukraine is really the homeland of the Ashkenazi Jews. All right, then. Like I said, Sambalolo, Betwabu, and Zola Quingy once again, Sambalolo, and inaweza kuswa Kongo kutwala Simba wa yule Congo ring.